You are listening to the History Boys. I am Christopher Whedon, and I am a top-notch best history boy. If you rank all the History Boys from top to worst, but only count me.
I am Tyler Armentrout. I'm also a history boy, and I think, although in the national rankings I do pretty well, in the international rankings it's pretty firmly at the bottom.
You can't fuck with them Dutch history boys.
Yeah, those the Dutch history boys are very good at their job, and you don't hear from them a lot, but I guarantee they're working really hard for it.
They're working really hard for you,
Yeah,
the average American.
Yeah.
I am Zach, quarter circle fierce mech.
There you go.
History boy. Also Street Fighter enthusiast and fighting game enthusiast. So there's
Some of that Fighter Z in you.
Yeah. Just fucking mash on A the whole time. Do that auto
Gogeta
combo.
out yet? Super 7-4 Gogeta?
Not yet. Gogeta's not out yet, but Super Baby 2 is. And holy shit. One of my favorites.
Yeah,
Spin to win, baby.
Let's go on about that.
And I am Jerry Nash, as always a history boy, and all of what Zach and Chris were just talking about totally flew over my head.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Oh.
well, that's it's high flying action.
I just blacked out and words are coming out of my mouth.
When you're talking about in England they call it Fighter Z, but
Right.
Dragon Ball Z.
yeah.
Do you think they call it that?
I'm almost positive.
Maybe.
It's
Sounds
called
fucking stupid. Fuck you, Britain.
Zed's dead, baby.
Speaking
Zed's dead.
Speaking of how much British sucks, tell us a story about that.
It's been a hot second, and my loins are frothing to know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, I
All
have
of our
no
lines
idea.
are frothing. I think I speak for
I'm
everyone.
frothing from a number of locations in my body.
It's disturbing. Today we're talking about one of history's most remarkable people to ever live.
Cool.
Jesus.
No.
Okay.
He fought and survived 3 revolutions as a major player in all 3, which is kind of unheard
It's the
of.
Hamburglar.
No.
I was thinking Chuck Berry.
No.
He's cool.
He had a nice pee fetish.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
So I can get into that. Me and Donald Trump.
Jerry, please continue.
Okay. He knew nearly every prominent figure of his time and place personally. Like wrote letters back and forth with all of these people. He is responsible for one of the most important documents in all of history. He was a general by the age of 19.
Ooh,
Okay.
getting hot.
Is it
Is it La Hamburglar?
Oh.
The French equivalent?
Tyler Perry?
No. I'm speaking, of course, of Marie, Joseph, Paul, Yves, Roch, Gilbert de Motier, Marquis de Lafayette. Or simply, the Marquis de Lafayette.
America's favorite fighting Frenchman.
Yes, indeed.
Tell us about all those guys.
All the guys he just mentioned. Each one of them.
Specifically Gilbert.
The RZA, the Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard, Ghostface Killer, Inspecty Duck.
The Marquis of De Lafayette.
Yeah.
Raekwon the chef.
Yeah, oh, fuck, I almost forgot.
People in normal conversation would have probably called him Gilbert.
Those Marquis, they're always like named after the place they're from. They're like,
Yeah.
they just call him that. Like they're like, you're from Lafayette. I'm calling you Lafayette.
Right.
It's like
Right.
Osaka.
Right.
Right.
That's for you.
Thank you.
He knew his name was incredibly long, and anytime somebody had to like introduce his full name, he would like laugh and say, "I'm sorry." Like, he said, "I was named like a Spaniard after every saint there was to guard me after a battle, or during a battle."
Sounds like it helps.
And other times he would be like, "You think my name's long? You should see my penis."
Yeah. If it helps him survive all these battles, though, you know. And then his penis, that
And then after that, he would say, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
Right.
Go into his confession.
So he was like Dumbledore with his long-ass name, except that didn't help Dumbledore in the end.
No, it did not.
He still fell out of a tower or something.
Yeah, they got him.
They got him good for all of his sins.
So Lafayette was born on September 6th, 1757.
Virgo, cool.
Yeah. He was born to a wealthy family in Chavignac,
No shit.
which was...
That's
no
the
shit,
word?
you knew that?
No, I'm just saying, he was born to a wealthy family. He's the Marquis.
Yeah.
No shit, Jerry. Move on. Everybody knows that.
He was Chavignac is in a kind of a rural part of France at this time. It's sort of south central part of France, and it was called the Auvergne.
He's from South Central. I get it.
Yeah.
France.
This part of France was kind of like considered like the sticks.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a place that you plan a vacation to. It's mountainous terrain.
Sucks.
It's rural.
It's like Yakima.
It's the kind of place you get lost in if you're a Nazi and it's World War II.
Right. But it sounds like this isn't the type of place that you come sail away at, right?
No.
No, probably not.
It's not those kind of sticks.
Now, his family was one of the oldest in France, and they had a long and storied history. It is said that one of his ancestors acquired the actual, real crown of thorns during the Sixth Crusade.
That's absolutely got to be true.
I know, right?
I buy it.
I mean, it's not like it was made out of literal thorns and it would be therefore biodegradable.
Right, exactly. It's
They encased it in a resin,
yeah,
As you do.
yeah, exactly.
in the first century.
And the resin was made of delicious maple syrup, and you'd lick the outside and be like, "Ow, my tongue! That's delicious."
You're like,
like
you lick
the
it too
suffering
much,
of
you're going to get to
Christ.
those thorns.
A 1, a 2, a 3.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of the crown of thorns?
You taste blood, but you don't know if it's yours or Jesus's.
Oh God, I almost put out my beer.
And one of his great whatever grandfathers, Gilbert De Lafayette III.
Ooh.
He was actually the Marshal of France and served as like champion of arms or something like that
Cool.
to Joan of Arc's army during the siege of Orleans. So that's pretty crazy.
A regular,
And that's documented. That's real.
So he was a regular Bill Totrieve.
Yeah, right. The Cajun long names, I get it.
King of the Hill reference.
Yes.
It's a new thing that we're doing.
Yeah, we're bringing that in. Enough Simpsons.
Yeah. On his mother's side, the Comte de la Riviere was commander of the storied Black Musketeers, the king's personal bodyguard. And these were, the actual musketeers during the actual time that the Three Musketeers takes place.
Were those real guys?
They weren't real guys, but,
based off a type of
musketeers were real people.
I knew they
guarded
weren't
the
real
king.
guys, but I was asking it anyway.
Yeah,
Did they use muskets?
No.
probably. They had swords.
I know. Well, we've in previous episodes we discussed the Alexander Dumas classic,
Yeah.
Three
The
Musketeers.
Three Musketeers.
Because I used to play Three Musketeers when we were in Old San Juan.
Oh yeah.
yes, that's right.
It was
that's
during
right.
that depressing ass episode.
If you guys want to feel bad about yourselves, please go and listen to those episodes.
Yeah. Pedro Bizo.
Pedro Bizo Campos. Yep.
Long live Pedro Albizu Campos. In 1759, his father, Michel de Lafayette, was killed by a British cannonball while fighting in the 7 Years' War, or as we call it here, the French and Indian War. But it was all over Europe, too. It is a really complicated war. Maybe one day we'll do something about it. Anyway.
Fix that problem.
Yeah. His older brother, also named Michel, was also killed in battle. He was killed on the Austrian front line.
He was pancaked by an anvil.
Pancaked. Says that on his death certificate.
Yeah. Nobody knows of the anvil. It fell out of the sky.
A cartoon
Death by
character.
Acme.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He never did catch that Roadrunner.
Yeah. Too bad.
This all happened by the time he was 2 years old.
Cool.
Oof.
So the title of Marquis was now bestowed upon him, and as well as the title of Lord of Chavignac. So he was, one of these child nobles.
He's like a young ass Marquis.
Yeah, super young. His estate, the care of his estate, went to his mother. And his mother didn't take her husband's death very well at all. So she actually left Lafayette with his grandmother and aunts and a couple other people to help raise him. And she moved to Paris to live with her father and grandfather. So Lafayette's grandfather and great-grandfather. And he was taught by his grandmother and his aunts and the other people at Chavignac during the formative younger years of his life.
Cool. I bet that was a really Animal House situation.
Yeah. There's nothing. Nothing says Animal House quite like being raised by very old Frenchmen in the 16th century.
French women and
That's what, that's what that movie's based on.
Yep.
yeah.
It's
John
John
Belushi.
Belushi.
John Belushi. Yeah. My favorite part about Gilbert's life is when he took that loot and smashed it on the side of the castle.
Yeah.
And then handed it back and just said, sorry.
Wait,
that movie Animal House is based off this guy.
Yes.
That's what I was getting at.
His upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they actually lived in a really nice apartment in Paris. Her family, they were a step above what his father's family was, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they had nicer, they were members of the king's court, you know what I mean?
Middle crust.
Yeah.
Upper middle crust.
Upper middle crust of the nobility.
Yeah.
Because they were part of the members of the king's court, did they all have members-only jackets?
Yes.
Okay.
They were called giant wigs and corsets.
Yeah.
Yeah. It dressed like fops.
Yeah. It is the height of, like, French opulence.
Foppery.
Oh,
in this era.
Flush the pinky.
Yeah. Now, when Lafayette was 8 or 9, there was a growing hysteria around the deaths and the horrifically mangled corpses of several people, including children that were, like, showing up. It was a wolf-like monster that was terrorizing the countryside, the French countryside, and it was a man-eater. It was some sort of man-eating wolf
Chihuahua
creature.
tiger.
Sort of, yeah.
Is this like that
probably
movie
more-
Brotherhood of the Wolf? The French one
Yeah,
with the
I know it.
karate?
Yeah.
Yes, it's that. It's
And-
this exactly.
And Benjamin Franklin's just there like, let's go talk to Benjamin Franklin, and he's always at a whorehouse. It's like an orgy, and he's like, let me talk about kites now. I don't really remember the movie that good.
Whoa, here she comes.
Yeah.
It sort of became like a legend, like a Bigfoot type of thing. Only it probably actually was like
Bigfoot?
wolves. It was probably wolves.
Ah.
But it was called the Beast of Gévaudan. And I hope I'm pronouncing all of these
Isn't
French.
there a
or
Sherlock
Gévaudan.
Holmes about this?
Hound of the Baskervilles is
Is
what
it
you're
kind of
thinking.
related to that? Is
No,
it,
that's
like,
a different
It's the British remake.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did that happen? I assumed it didn't actually happen.
No.
But maybe that he read about this and was like,
Well,
I got my
I mean-
own thing going on.
Desperate wolves that have probably been damaged in the way that the Champawat tigress was probably did attack people.
Desperate wolves call for desperate measures.
Yeah, see?
Exactly.
Well, Lafayette, being the child he was, boldly proclaimed that he was going to be the one to catch the beast and claim the bounty that was placed on it.
And then the beast killed him. And
The end.
And that's our story, folks. See you
one.
next time.
And he just really wanted the notoriety and the glory. He wanted to go through town and have everybody clap for him. Yay, Lafayette.
He's like, the video game Fable doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. He never did manage to kill the beast, however. When Lafayette was 11, his mother sent for him to come and live with her and his grandfather and his great-grandfather in Paris. And they were actually living at the Luxembourg Palace. In Luxembourg Palace, I think, is in Paris. Yes. Anyway, sorry. I'm
not in
confused there.
Luxembourg.
No.
That's if you're
That's a
thinking
bit
of
of
the
a
palace in
misnomer.
Luxembourg, that's Paris Palace.
Yeah, they got him swapped.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, we built it in the wrong spot. Now we got to do the other one over here.
People will make sense of it.
Yeah, he'll get it.
And he never fit well in, like, Paris high society. He always felt like an outsider, him growing up in the sticks and them all being from, this cosmopolitan city like Paris. He just didn't really get it. Every time he would go to court, because being a court member, you have to present yourself to the king every once in a while. Yeah. You got to present at court. And all the dancing and all that stuff, he hated all that stuff.
I played Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally
do that. Yeah.
I'd like to think he'd present himself to the court, and he'd just kind of shuffle up and be like, "Yeah, I'm Marquis de Lafayette. Where's the shitter? There's a million rooms in this house, and I can't find a single one with a toilet. What's going on? Anyone else know what's going on? This guy knows what I'm talking about."
Well, the next person I'm going to talk about put one of the first flush toilets in any building ever, and that was Marie Antoinette.
A true hero. Why aren't we talking about her?
She had she put indoor plumbing into the palace of
I thought you were
Versailles
gonna say
for only herself.
Murray Flushels.
Well, at these dances, Marie Antoinette actually laughed and made fun of Lafayette, like saying like he danced like an idiot or something like that.
Clown.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't dance well, and everyone's like, oh, you know,
All
He's
these
like-
people wearing white makeup calling him a clown.
he was still accustomed to being treated like nobility. Like when he'd go down the street, people would like take off their hats in deference to him. You know, he just didn't really like all the pageantry and whatnot and all the little things you have to do to not piss off the wrong person kind of a thing.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
I totally get that.
You need
Yeah.
to respect me more casually, you peasants.
Right? So Lafayette was given a military education because that was the tradition in his family. They all came from sort of a military stock, you know what I mean? And he actually studied alongside the future King of France, Charles X.
Oh,
Okay.
Charlie.
Story for sort of a different day. We're going to definitely talk about it in part 2. Spoiler alert, there's going to be a 2-parter of Lafayette. So we'll touch on it.
So when you're trained in French martial theory, is it just a bunch of books on how to lose?
That is. Let me dispel this myth real quick about the French military. For most of history, the French military was unfucking touchable, and were one of the biggest fucking bullies in the playground, especially when Napoleon came along. So it's only World War II that we Americans base our opinions on this.
They were more on the front lines than anybody in World War One. Pretty much burned themselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they almost
No,
lost
totally,
an
yeah.
And I
entire
think
generation.
We discussed this in a previous episode
Yes,
too.
we
Yeah, the reason why the resistance was so scrappy and had to be so underground and inventive was because during World War One, French soldiers were frontline soldiers, and they lost pretty much an entire generation of young men.
Yes, exactly.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. He also studied alongside, so this is kind of interesting, a future king of France, and also the future bloodthirsty revolutionary, Maximilien Robespierre.
That's a great name.
Yeah. He was training to become a musketeer,
Cool.
Lafayette was.
You get a
Which
candy
is
bar, you get a sword,
Yeah.
you get a swashbuckle.
you get a baguette.
And you're just filled with nougat.
Oh, it's so full of noog.
He's already filled with nougat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piss and nougat.
Yeah. So
Revolutionary nougat.
yeah, basically like training to protect the king. And I gotta think that this education of like training to be a musketeer resonated through the rest of his life because, as we'll see, he was sort of a moderate when the French Revolution happened. He didn't actually want to get rid of the king. He wanted a constitutional monarchy, which is like what Britain has, weirdly enough.
He's like, guys, if we get rid of the king, we're not going to be able to make a Netflix series about the French monarchy, and everyone's going to be watching it during quarantine 100 years from now. So,
In April of 1770, he lost both his grandfather and mother, and soon after that, his uncle. So this left him completely alone in the world. He did have another guardian that was a count, or comte, as they would call it in France, to sort of look after him. But otherwise, he was completely alone.
everybody in his family wanted to win that pie eating contest so bad they really gave it their all, and it's sad what happened to them.
But what did happen, though, is with all these people dying, like within a month of each other, he inherited an overall yearly income of around 120,000 livres. So he was the richest boy in France,
wow.
pretty much.
That's a lot of livres.
Yeah, yeah. In 1771, at the age of 13, he was given his first military officer commission.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, carrying the rank of second lieutenant. Now, although his duties were largely ceremonial, like marching in parades and, of course, presenting himself at court, things like that, he was still trained.
I bet he loved that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He actually did like doing like the field drills and stuff like that, like the training stuff.
Preparation for later.
Right, but I've said this in previous episodes. Like, how can you give so much responsibility to a fucking teenager? I I don't trust teenagers, much less young adults.
Well, Zach, you're going to love this episode.
Great.
Because guess who's a teenager most of the time during this episode?
I don't fucking trust them then.
Fair enough. You and George Washington. Let's see if old Lafayette can change your mind.
Old Laffy.
Yeah.
Laffy Taffy.
Now, meanwhile, a guy named Jean-Louis Paul Francois de Noailles Duc d'Ayen.
Almost made it with the same length of name.
Yeah, he was the his last name is Noailles. He was the Duke of Ayen.
Kick-ass Duke.
Right? So people would also call him, and if I call him this, you'll know who it is. But if I call him the Duc de Noailles, I'm talking about the Duke of D'Ayen as well. Same dude. Okay? D'Ayen is where he's from.
He's a double Duke.
Right? Noailles is his family name.
A regular DD.
Well, sometimes if I have enough to drink
D.
the night before, I'll have a double Duke the next day.
Yeah.
I say, honey, I think I'm hitting the sequel. It might even be a trilogy. This episode was brought to you by Domino's Pizza.
Medicine pizza.
Yeah, medicine pizza.
So the Duke d'Ayen, or Duke de Noailles, this is kind of Crusader King-y, but he was looking to marry off his, 5 daughters.
You got to.
As you do.
Yeah, and you do it for, diplomatic reasons.
Yes.
Tie strong, prominent, rich families together and, get you money, right?
Yeah.
So clout.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Yeah, he was looking to marry off, the Duke d'Ayen was looking to marry off one of his daughters, seeing as that Lafayette was 14, and he had a daughter that was 12. Her name was Marie Adrienne Françoise de Noailles. They arranged a marriage for them through Lafayette's guardian. But the thing is the Duchess objected to the marriage because she was like, they're too young to get married.
Well,
I would say so. Yeah.
even for the time, and it's weird that she said that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Even for
time.
now. So what they did is they secretly kind of pushed them together so they could get to know each other for 2 years.
Oh, it's like when you put two animals in a cage to try to get them to mate.
Yeah, you put them in a burlap sack and you hold the top
Shake it
close so
around.
they fuck.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if that's how.
We're gonna breed these kids like we breed cats.
So they did get together, they did get to know each other, and lo and behold, they did indeed fall in love. And they were married in 1774.
They had a lot in common. Rich, French, prepubescent.
They went to the same summer camp, and one taught the other one how to do pottery.
Yeah.
And,
Do you like music? There's only 4 songs.
I can play all of them on my harpsichord. So the young couple, again, were married, and they lived at the Hôtel de Noailles in Versailles. That was nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
But there'll be a treaty there one day.
there's going to be several.
Acting so rich they can live in a hotel with turn down service. I get it. You're rich.
Hotel, or the French hôtel back then, didn't always mean hotel. Sometimes it meant town square.
Could have been a motel.
Or a Holiday
Yeah.
Inn.
Thank you.
I picked up what you were putting down.
So around this time in France, everything that was American was all the rage.
Cool.
You had
Just like now.
It's like Japan now.
Yeah, true.
you had Ben Franklin show up to the French court, and he was charming the pants off of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
literally.
Flying his kite.
Yeah.
He's like, look at my kite. Look at my lightning rod. Look at my other lightning rod.
He was
He had
quite
two
the
lightning rods.
Yeah. He was quite the smooth operator for sure, and kind of a hilarious dude.
Well, it also helped that his buddy Ronald McDonald was there too to feed them.
Yeah.
Ronald McDonald and Ben Franklin?
Yeah, they were a tag team duo. You didn't know about
My
that?
best friends.
I'm trying to figure out a way to tie my Hamburglar reference from earlier back into this. And
I set you up, dude.
I'm simply at a loss.
So yeah, the talk of Paris was the plight of the American Revolution that was going on. And it wasn't going on, it was really building up. and
They're like, we sure wish we could have a revolution.
right. Well, yeah, people, we're starting to think about equality and liberty and
Revolution FOMO.
the what?
Revolution FOMO.
Yeah, right, there you go. It was especially prevalent in France because no one in France liked Great Britain.
I mean,
They had just had the 7 Years' War. Everyone was pissed off at Great Britain. And honestly, when Great Britain's own colonies are rising up in revolt against Great Britain, they're like, yeah, go for it. Make them look like assholes.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, nobody likes Boris Johnson.
The English and the French were never like super good friends either, because the English always did their best to not make any friends.
Yeah.
They're like, who's closest to us? I want to fuck with somebody.
Well, and if there were arch rivals this time, or 200, maybe longer than that, years, it was England and France. They hated each other, notoriously, for a very long time.
They're like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, exactly.
like Goku and Vegeta.
Do you think that hatred... Is that stronger than the Irish's hatred for England?
I think it's a different kind of hatred.
Yeah. They never enslaved the French.
It's a different sort. It's a different kind of hatred.
Yeah.
One is a big power, and they're a big power, so big powers fight. That's what they do.
Right.
And Ireland was subjugated by the English. It's a little different. It's a different type of rage.
Jerry's like, you're making it a different episode. It's not that episode this time, guys.
We already did that episode.
Yeah, we already
We
did
did
Easter Rising.
one episode on a small part of that, but yes.
Yes. But no, I was just genuinely curious regarding that.
Lafayette got really caught up in it. A big reason why is because his father was killed by the British. So that spurned him on.
He was like, no thanks.
Yeah. He always hated the British.
He was chock full of revolutionary nougat.
Yeah. Well, Enlightenment thought is what I would say.
That's what Tyler meant.
Yeah, same thing.
Not quite. He got his head just so full of Enlightenment style thinking and just sort of came to worship these American revolutionaries.
I'm just thinking, when you said he got his head so full of, I was like, nougat.
Three Musketeers. I can't get your head off of a candy bar.
He's like, my name is Marquis de Lafayette. I'm full of revolutionary nougat, and I can't wait to let you know about my Enlightenment ideas.
The first words he said to George Washington.
That's not far. Like, the sentiment is there.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, he became enthusiastic, and I use this word heavily, enthusiastic. There was nobody that was more enthusiastic about the American Revolution than Lafayette.
He was stoked on those rascals.
Except for maybe George Washington, or maybe a couple other ideologues. Like, it's hard to find somebody more enthusiastic about the American Revolution other than the Marquis de Lafayette.
What about Alexander Hamilton? Is he in this?
He's here.
Yeah, fine. I watched a play about him or something. I don't know.
Lafayette didn't live in this country. He didn't live in America. He's from nobility, and he was just a true believer. There was nothing that was going to change his mind, and there was no, other side to him. There was right and everything else, and, they were right. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody else was quite like that. You know what I mean?
That's,
He was
Near fanaticism.
ultimately could be problematic.
Ultimately could.
He
Never
he-
was.
He
which
was
is
also
crazy.
rich enough to steer the course of human history.
Yeah.
So he was very much like the Bill Gates of his time. And
If Bill Gates was 15
yeah,
or 16.
and
He probably was when he started making shit.
and instead of vaccines full of 5G chips, it was Enlightenment ideas.
Revolutionary nougat.
Yeah, revolutionary nougat. Syringes full of it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Just like Bill Gates and his the chips he's going to put in our brains.
The nougat tracks the peasants.
I just hope he puts salt and vinegar chips into me.
Yeah.
Oh,
ooh.
so good.
Ooh, I can get behind that.
Oh, it's gonna make you thirsty.
They got those sea salt and vinegar chips from Trader Joe's, the Hawaiian ones.
So good.
Eat the whole bag; it'll tear up the roof of my mouth.
Oh my god,
worth it.
So good.
This episode was brought to you by Trader Joe's. It's the same shit you get in a regular grocery store, but the bag has like cursive.
And it's hard to fucking open for some reason.
Yeah.
Every single bag from Trader Joe's is difficult to open.
You get cheap packaging, but it's quaint. It's neat.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience.
My favorite part about those chips is that half of the bag is filled with air.
Oh, yeah.
So
There's actually a reason for that.
I'm aware. But
It's those damn chip manufacturers
Yeah, ripping you off.
ripping me off.
Yeah, I got a balsa wood pregnancy test from Trader Joe's. It was wrapped in twine, and now I have a son. Thanks a lot, Trader Joe's.
He also became a Freemason, which is very popular among the American revolutionaries. You know, everybody's goddamn Freemason.
Gotta be a Freemason. It's the thing to
How else
do.
are you going to join the Illuminati and, hang
You
out?
get a dope ass ring.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Get to be a part of the whole. You get to control, the course of human history with Leonardo da Vinci and I don't know, Herbie Hancock or whatever.
Herbie Hancock. That's good.
The car.
Playing some smooth jazz for you.
Thanks.
So in 1775, 18-year-old Marquis de Lafayette and 16-year-old Adrienne had their first daughter,
Aw.
Henriette.
Oh, I bet she was ornery.
Well,
Nice.
it's technically like Henrietta,
Yeah,
but in,
it's like
the French
Or like
pronunciation.
Henrietta.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
She was ornery, though. Ornery.
And also during this time, Americans were showing up in France and being like, hey, you guys want to join a war?
Fuck yeah.
And they were like, well, we don't like the British. What else do you got? Because, we're not just going to join just because we don't like the British. Although that's a good point.
They're like, we're gonna fuck up the British.
They were like, look, how about some of your military officers that you don't seem to be using? How about you join up with us and we'll give you a dope-ass commission and we'll pay you a bunch of money. At least that's what this guy, Silas Deane, was saying. So Silas Deane went to France and he was looking mainly for engineers and like money and like arms and stuff like that, like weapons and stuff like this. But instead, he just started recruiting all these like French officers that wanted glory, like Lafayette.
Yeah.
And like they were all like, do you mean to tell me being a schooled French military kid with no combat experience to speak of, I can go to the New World and get myself a fancy new officer commission with a cush-ass pay. All I gotta do is go there. And he's like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
sign up.
It's the Achilles thing. where
This,
it's like,
this sounds so familiar. Didn't we do an episode on this already?
But what they really wanted, the Americans, what they really wanted was France to straight up declare war on Britain. You know what I mean? Because
that would help out their cause.
Yeah, it would have changed the war,
Right.
So they're just kind of chipping away at it at this point. But you better believe that Lafayette was like first in line to try to get recruited by Silas Deane.
He's like, hell yeah.
And Silas Deane,
What do
there were like rumors that like he may have been skimming some money off the top for himself.
100% he was.
what do you even spend it on back then?
Blackjack
know.
and hookers. I don't know.
Yeah.
And just living the high life in Paris, Lafayette comes up and he goes, I want to be a major general in the Continental Army.
He is the very model of a modern major general.
Thank you.
Chris is warmed up.
Now I'm ready to go. Let's start this podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the History Boiz.
I should open every episode with me doing that whole song.
Yeah.
Start over every time I fuck up.
We're gonna be here a while.
But Silas Deane was just like, yeah, absolutely. And he like writes him a piece of paper that says, you're a major general, and hands it to him. And he's like,
yeah.
awesome, I'm fucking in. When Duke de Noailles finds out, because he's his father-in-law, he's like, absolutely fucking not. You're not going down there to fight in a war.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
You need to stay here and be rich and French with us.
Yeah, you're 18 years old. Come on now. And you're fighting against a monarchy. Hello? Yeah. We live in a monarchy. Yeah. Like all this shit you're saying about like liberty and equality, that's us, dude.
Yeah.
We are the people you were fighting against, okay? And like
And our monarchy is going to last forever.
and so like to help change his mind, Duke Diane sent him to England, to London. to be in King George III's court for a few weeks.
He's like, here we go again.
Yeah. And it was there that he met the Duke of Gloucester, which was King George III's little brother.
I was there in Assassin's Creed Valhalla recently.
Badass.
Oh, nice.
Well, the Duke of Gloucester was a sympathizer to the American Revolution, believe it or not. And he was, way into the Enlightenment, too. They were at, like, a dinner together, him and Lafayette. And, like, the whole time the Duke of Gloucester's talking real loud about how fucked up King George III is, and he's sitting over there. And he's like, yeah, these guys fighting against them, like, I hope they fucking win. I hope George Washington fucking kicks your ass. And everyone's like, it's a real awkward dinner. But, like, Lafayette's like, yeah!
This is great. I would love that.
Bear in mind, this was, the king's dinner table, so it was like...
it's like a mile long.
Yeah. It was
so loud.
It was 3 kilometers long, let's be real.
There you go.
So, do you think that the Duke of Gloucester, the reason why he was spouting all these things was because it was around the same time that they do the cheese rolling in Gloucester?
Is that in Gloucester?
I believe it's in Gloucester.
Oh, that'd be amazing. No, I think he was doing it because his brother, who he didn't like, took over.
Of course.
Instead of him.
And he was so
Salty
petty
about it.
that he was like, let's burn the house down from the inside.
Wait, who's his brother he didn't like?
He was the one that got
king.
the cheese
The
wheel.
king.
Yeah.
George was his brother?
Yeah.
I didn't
King,
catch that.
King George III is the Duke of Gloucester's older brother.
You probably said that, but I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
I was like, who's his brother? You're like, we just fucking talked about that.
So that's awkward. And I guess the only time that Lafayette actually met King George, we don't actually know what he said, but it is said that Lafayette had some choice remarks for the king, probably having to do with the American colonies.
I bet you're going to go insane in your later years.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the one, but nobody knows what he said because he whispered it into his ear in Times Square, and whatever he said, it was just right.
Yeah.
Oh, like Lost in
That's
Translation?
what I was thinking.
Mostly because Lafayette was speaking French and King George was, he was speaking English and... Yeah. But although, because at the time, I'm sure the king probably spoke like a million languages because, he's trained from birth to be royalty. Anyway, don't think about it too much. It was supposed to be a fucking joke. Let's all just move on, okay?
It backfired spectacularly. It further solidified his want to go to the colonies and fight. So when he came back to France, he came back to the Hôtel de Noailles in Versailles. And, the French minister and the French king and the Duke de Noailles, they were like, you're absolutely forbidden to do that. You can't do that. And he was like, fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. And what he did is he disguised himself as a woman.
Oh, yeah.
That old chestnuts. Actually, that old 2 chestnuts, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That part may be, made up later.
Yeah.
He's like, I need
there
200.
were disguises, though. There were disguises.
It's like it's just little old me trying to go off to the colonies.
Yeah. It's like Terry Jones.
Like, it's Terry Jones. Yeah.
The guards were like...
I literally mentioned that. Terry Jones, too, in Kessel Itter.
Yeah. Right.
The guards see him going and they're like, that's not a woman. You can tell because the wig that he's wearing isn't a woman's wig, it's a man's long hair wig.
He's wearing a woman's wig over his giant powdered wig.
Yeah.
That's what I mentioned.
Yeah. One of those giant, Marie Antoinette wigs.
Yeah.
So yeah, he escaped. He bought a boat with his own money because
he had a lot of it.
Yeah, but the Continental Congress didn't have any money to get him there. So he straight up bought his own boat and had it outfitted all with his own money.
He had more disposable income than the Continental Congress.
Yes. Yes, he did.
And actually, he bought a boat, sank it for fun, bought a second boat, then went to the colonies.
The first one he fired with a rocket launcher.
Yeah. He burnt that down just to watch it burn.
Yeah, he was like, you see that, guys? That's why I'm different than you.
That's what I'm going to do to Britain. And then later France.
Yeah.
And later France again.
he went down to Bordeaux to get on this boat that was ready for him, and him and like a few other, and I say a few, like there was a bunch of other like French officers that are like, I'm gonna go now, I'm gonna be a major general too. Mm-hmm. You know, like all these guys were thinking.
Gonna
the
go
same
down
thing.
to the American colonies, get one of them slaves everybody's talking about. I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying they were doing it.
So he sent his family a letter being like, I'm going to fight in this war. Sorry. And they wrote him like a barrage of letters back saying like, don't do it. You can't go. We forbid you to go. Mm-hmm. And his wife Adrienne is like, I'm pregnant. You can't just pick up and go.
Oh, now he's like, I'm definitely going.
He's like, tell the father I said, what up?
Just going out for cigarettes.
Yeah.
Really long ones. Long, thin ones.
Yeah, long, thin.
From Virginia.
Yeah.
Let's go to Virginia.
Yeah. And
get some of those slims.
the Duke Diane was like, how about I take you on a trip to Italy where I can explain to you a few things? Like, he never actually explained what he wanted to tell Lafayette, but what I pick up from that is I think he was going to say something along the lines of, us, nobility, them, common rabble. This is the natural order of things.
Yes, it is.
All of your stupid Enlightenment talk means nothing. And he sort of knew, and just waved his middle finger goodbye.
As he
sailed away.
He's like Lamar talking to Franklin.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the words he'd used.
Yeah. As he was already, like, you know, on the sea, he sent his wife a letter being like, I know, I'm sorry, but I promise you, this is going to be fucking great. I'm going to win. There's going to be liberty. It's going to be fucking awesome. It's going to be great. I'm going to get my glory. It's going to be dope.
Don't focus on the fact that this is bad news. Focus on the fact that I caught a bird, trained it to carry a letter back to France, and I sent this mid-voyage. Aren't I incredible? And if I can do that, I'm pretty sure I can win this war.
Carrier pigeons, my friend.
Oh.
It's a kind of bird.
Which carrier? Hope it's not AT&T.
Nice.
Got him.
On his way to America, he fought seasickness, like the whole time. And he even said, like, I'm not cut out to be on the ocean for very, very long periods of time. But he studied English, because he did not know a word of English before this. He became pretty decent at it, but within a year, he would become fluent in English, which is fucking nuts. He must have been in it.
From the documentaries I watched, he became a very good rapper.
Yes, that documentary, Hamilton, I believe.
Yeah.
You'll notice that this story's exactly the same as Hamilton.
It's got the raps.
I'm picturing him as
hip-hops.
looking like David Diggs this whole time.
Didn't he also play a different character?
Jefferson.
That's right. That's right. I have not seen Hamilton. Maybe I should, just for this episode.
The songs are very catchy.
Yeah.
You get drunk while you watch it. It's more fun that way.
I did that the first time.
Stoned to the bone.
Yeah.
Get fucked up and watch Hamilton.
Yeah. He dreamed, like the second he got there, he was going to meet with his newfound hero, George Washington, and they were just going to be fast friends. You know?
Yeah.
And he just,
I
can't wait to meet
He's
that
like,
guy.
you own slaves. I would love to own slaves.
We should be homies.
I just like bringing that up every time.
Oh, yeah. So as they approached the east coast of America,
I'm familiar with it.
there was a fear that they were going to run into the British blockade. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to avoid it. But as they were trying to avoid it, they kind of got blew off course by a storm.
Yeah, they should try spinning. That's a good trick.
Yeah, they did a barrel roll.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Regular Anakin.
Yeah.
they ended up finding themselves somewhere off the coast of South Carolina. And it was really misty that day.
Oh.
As they pulled in, they saw these boats, and they were like, "Shit, boats!" Maybe this is the British flotilla.
Perfect.
And it wasn't. Thank God, there were fishing boats.
They'd be like, "It's us, the French, here to help you fight the revolution."
Yeah.
And those fishermen are like, hey, teach us about that French cuisine with our seafood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, funny thing about the fishermen is the fishermen were actually slaves. So these Frenchmen that were here, they were coming here to help fight for liberty and equality and fraternity. The first people that they met in America were slaves.
To like,
Which is insane.
yeah, the right, the freedom and the liberty. And
Not for you. Not for you.
To own human beings who have no right to that freedom or liberty.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it a little bit more probably next episode, too.
We're here to free your masters.
So they can own more of you.
Yeah. So when the slaves took them to the plantation owner, turns out the guy was actually a part of the South Carolina militia. He was a major in the South Carolina.
Oh, he would have stormed the Capitol.
Militia, yeah. His name was Benjamin Huger. And actually, a generation later, there would be a Confederate general by the exact same name. So there you go. Tells you a little something about that.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, which doesn't fall far from the next tree. I mean, there's a couple of generations here.
Yeah, his like great or whatever grandson stormed the Capitol wearing bull's horns on his head.
Yeah.
George Washington, actually, this is kind of a weird factoid, outwardly despised militiamen because he thought that they were untrained or insubordinate. They were just hard to fucking control, and he fucking hated dealing with anytime he got militiamen.
George Washington hated the Second Amendment.
Well, his biggest
He
issue
didn't like
with
militias, I can tell you that right now.
That's part of it.
Right.
he's like they're I mean, you know, they're not trained like Jerry said. All their profile pictures on Facebook are the guns they own, and they're holding like every gun they own in the picture, and it's like, we get it. You like guns.
You can't shoot all
Or
of them
sunglasses with a cap on in their truck.
in their
Yeah.
truck, and they're going to tell you about their controversial opinions.
Yeah.
That they heard on Fox News.
Yeah, exactly.
See, to me, it just sounds like George Washington isn't a fan of like the contractor sound guys. Like he wants all of them to be union dudes. And I mean, quite frankly, some of the union guys, they do know what they're talking about, but not for the most part.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you, New York.
I'm
Zach,
a union sound guy.
yeah.
Are
I do not know
you doing
anything.
an audio engineering bit?
I was. Yeah.
Zach's talking about how he needs to join a union.
The folks at home couldn't see it, but Zach, as he's doing the bit, is looking at us like we know what he's talking about with 100% confidence.
Why do you think we were
He's
like,
like,
we
right,
need an
guys?
audio guy for this show? Because we don't know
We
what you're
know
talking
fucking
about.
nothing about it. So they come down on foot. They actually spend like 2 weeks with this guy at his plantation.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, just
getting
hanging
served
out.
to by humans
Yeah.
who don't have a choice.
Shooting the shit.
Yeah. But then they decide, like, okay, let's march up to Charleston. And then from Charleston, South Carolina, middle of the summer, mind you,
Oh,
they're going to walk from Charleston to Philadelphia to the Continental Congress.
walk.
Yeah, that's
Many of them walked.
Yeah, but on the
Many
way,
soup.
Soup weather.
you stop at Chick-fil-A. I know it's controversial, but at the time it was way worse. But the chicken sandwich was just as good. And then you get to Philadelphia, you get one of those cheesesteaks. As soon as you get there, you eat it at the Liberty Bell. It wasn't there yet, but the place where the Liberty Bell would eventually be. They're like, I don't know what it is about this spot, but I really like eating my.
I once went
Philly
to
right
a Carl's Jr. in Charlotte, North Carolina, which I assume could be on the way, and it was the grossest fucking place I've ever seen. And not just the food. Like, I'm not shitting on the business Carl's Jr., but I could all day if we wanted.
Is
But
it called
specific-
Hardee's?
It's called Hardee's over there.
Whatever, I don't care.
I was gonna say
It
Hardee's
was
is
the
better.
grossest, like, uncleaned fucking place I've ever seen.
It's the
And the
employee's
bathroom
fault.
was just so gross. It's the management's fault.
Yeah, that's true.
The fucking bathroom was... I peed in that bathroom and was like, this is the grossest thing. And I left a Yelp review being like, it's the grossest place I've ever been, but the bathroom's really great for doing heroin in. And that's what I wrote on Yelp. And that place has been closed. And I heard after the fact it was closed. That specific one was closed for having too many health code violations.
Oh, Christ.
I was gonna say because I've been to several Carl's Jr.'s location, mostly in Southern California, and I've always had a lovely experience with all their food. And you know, if anyone out there from the Carl's Jr. corporate office
Wants to send us
Hardee's
free burgers.
yeah, if you want to send over like one of the the $6 guacamole burger, it's been about 20 years since I've been there. But the point of the matter is that it's high quality food. made for people who need energy to get through their day, and I really respect what you guys are doing. So just send some
There's one in Marysville.
Send us pounds of food.
P.O. box.
send us a greasy parcel full of
Just throw it all in a box and send it to us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And Chris will take down his review.
Place is closed. I'm pretty sure my Yelp review is the reason.
So this is an ultimatum. That's what I'm trying to say.
Or we're coming for you, Hardys and
Yeah.
Carl's Jr. So as there were, a lot of them were on foot. Some of them were on horses. But the thing about Lafayette is he had this unstoppable optimism. Unstoppable. Like, everyone is like, this is fucking miserable. Where the hell did you bring us, dude? Like, it is hot as fuck. It's all countryside. There's fucking nothing out here. The people are mean to us because we're not from here.
Yeah.
And they only like you because you have a noble title. And you charm the pants off of everybody because you're incredibly likable. Unlike us, we are not incredibly likable. We're just having a miserable time. And the whole time, like, Lafayette's like, the food's great, the people are great, this place is great. And everyone else is like, fuck you. Yeah.
I love this guy. I do want to say that I took 2 which character in Hamilton quizzes are you, and I got Lafayette both times.
I'd like to think that Lafayette was only saying everything was great because he hadn't really learned that much English yet.
Yeah.
And he was
Passable. He had
He
passable
thought he was saying,
English.
yeah, this sucks.
Yeah. He's like, I really wish I had more nuance in the way I was speaking, but everything's great.
He just couldn't get sarcasm right.
No, he definitely, through most of his life, honestly, had a reputation for having rose-colored glasses about everything.
Not the British.
No, but it was sort of a gift and a curse for him, as we'll see moving forward.
It didn't help that he actually owned a pair of rose-colored glasses.
As was given to him due to his nobility.
He's a very fancy man. Yes.
Yeah, and people did, like, fawn over him just because he had that title.
I still
Marquis.
picture him walking up to fucking Philadelphia in full fop regalia.
Well, not like full, like, Louis the 16th fop,
Yeah.
but, like, he was dressed to the nines.
But he's
And in like French
unshowered.
military, yeah. Oh yeah, French military gear, and they looked like hell. They were gross as fuck for making that trip. But yeah, like the title Marquis in France didn't really get him very far. They're like, oh yeah, Marquis.
There's like 600 marquis. in
Yeah,
this
and
fucking
like
country.
people in France may have tipped their hat to you in deference, which they didn't do in America because there's no such thing as a Marquis.
What the fuck's a marquis?
But if they were like, this is the Marquis de Lafayette, they're like, ooh,
That sounds
Marquis, huh?
Like on top of the
Yeah.
movie theater.
It got him really far.
It's like my dad owns a dealership.
Yeah, right. The rest of the French officers, however, like they would stop and they would look at, like in Charleston, they looked at their fortifications, and the Americans were like, "Hey, come take a look at this. You're experienced military men." So they came and looked, and they were not impressed. They were like, "This is your fortification. This is not going to work. Like your guns are faced the wrong way. Like none of this is going
That's
to work."
because we're against you.
They're like, these guys are going to fucking lose. They're going to lose this fucking war. Lafayette pushed on. He still hasn't met his fucking hero. So once they get to Philadelphia, and he's like, he's tipping his hat to everybody. Everybody is like fawning all
He's
over
like,
him.
hello.
Yeah, exactly. He walks directly up to the Continental Congress where they were meeting, and he knocks on the door.
Yep.
And stands there like all proud, like,
We did it, boys.
yeah.
The French are here.
I'm here to offer my services, and the door's locked.
Fuck.
It was a Sunday. Everyone's at mass.
And like an underling was like, "Wait, who are you?" You know, like I'm just. I picture him just like sweeping a broom. It's probably not true, but he's like, "Oh yeah, let me go grab John Hancock real quick." So they went and roused John
Yeah,
Hancock.
like, that's not a real guy. Made that up.
They went and got John Hancock, and John Hancock comes down, and he's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Because the thing is Silas Deane was signing every French motherfucker up for military service, and this was nowhere near the first French officers that showed up and wanted a fucking commission in the Continental Army.
Ugh.
So he was like, more fucking French like soldiers of fortune.
There's a
Are you
pyramid
fucking
scheme.
kidding me? Yeah, and he's like, and the one that seems to be leading them is 19 fucking years old. He's a child, and he's here like leading them. Like, this is fucking, and he basically tells them to get the fuck out of here. He goes, look, I'll fucking take care of you tomorrow, or somebody will. I don't fucking know. I don't speak your language. There's a language barrier here. Get the fuck out of here.
And he's also so hungover because everyone was just like, I can't drink the water out here. I don't trust it. I'm going to stick with rum. And I'm constantly either drunk or hungover. So
Yeah. He was persistent. And a few of his compatriots, in fact, after this kind of drags on, most of his compatriots leave back to France. Like, fuck this. I'm out of here. Because when they actually do meet with the Continental Congress, they're like, dude, we've seen so many of you French, like, soldiers of fortune out here looking for glory. We can't pay you shit. I don't know how any of you thought that all of you could be generals in our army and not a single sergeant or lieutenant out of any one of you. You're all expecting to be general, and you're all expecting to be paid a shit ton of money because Silas Deane promised you the fucking sky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's go to a country that's already like poor as shit fighting
A war.
a war,
Against the biggest power on Earth at the time.
because that's where the money is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like that's the thing, though. Like, I'm surprised that Silas is still going around telling people these motherfuckers
That guy's a con
that they
man.
can
Well,
do shit. Does he get his comeuppance?
no.
Then fuck Silas. Then.
No, dude, you gotta think, the people over in France at this time, and it's Silas Deane, it's John Jay, he was in Spain as well, and Ben Franklin. These guys were like the P.T. Barnum of the American Revolution.
Motherfucker.
They were out there like...
pounding the pavement.
Yeah, they were making sure it fucking worked. And sometimes it was some shady shit that they fucking had to do to make it work.
Well, and Zach, I will say Silas Deane, he did die in his
He
sleep
is dead.
as an old man. He lived a very long and fruitful life, and
But he's dead.
never received any repercussions for the way that he was doing things.
Neat.
Much like the way that I'd like to live my life.
He's a story for a different day.
Was what he was doing any worse than what Benjamin Franklin and John Jay were doing out there?
No,
all the same
they
shit.
were smooth operators,
They were just,
man.
they were,
It's a multi-level marketing scheme.
Okay, so check this out. As this is happening, like, Ben Franklin was supposed to send a letter to Lafayette or to the Continental Congress, one of the two, from the king. You know, he was supposed to write it, and it was supposed to carry the king's wishes. He said, you know, King Louis XVI said, hey, Ben, write him a letter that says he can't do it. He can't do that. And Ben Franklin goes, okay. But Lafayette never got the letter.
Uh-oh.
Now this all
He
may
never
be
got the text.
this all be maybe hypocritical.
yeah.
But Benjamin Franklin, according to legend, said the king told me to write the letter. He didn't tell me to send it.
what a
So
dick.
these are the kind of people you're dealing with. Okay, they're cowboys before cowboys are there. Okay,
Yeah.
American cowboys.
There's a reason this country's the way it is.
Yeah. So
It's because those assholes.
the rest of Lafayette's crew, they're taken off because the Congress is like, we can't pay you. You can't be fucking generals. Seriously, I don't know what the fuck to do with you. So Lafayette goes, fuck it, I'll do it for free.
Ooh.
And they're like, no shit? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it for free. They're like,
They're thinking, oh, this
like,
youngster.
oh,
all
okay.
right.
He's gonna get paid in glory,
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And
like Achilles.
his only stipulation was the only thing he demanded was that he got to be Major General. So
He is the.
they said hello to Major General Marquis de Lafayette. They're like, okay, Major General.
And meanwhile, they're like, he's going to die soon.
Yeah. He came with a letter of recommendation. And let me just sort of put that to the side. At the City Tavern, a bar in
I've been to bars.
Philadelphia.
I miss Bart.
Patties.
Yeah. That is where Marquis de Lafayette met George Washington for the first time. And because George Washington, he was a big dude.
Yeah.
He was a very tall man for the time time he existed.
All 5'6".
No, he was like 6'1", 6'2", something like that. Not crazy tall for now, but insanely tall for back then. He like saw him across the room, and like his eyes like fucking lit up, and he saw stars, you know. And he walked up to him, and I am Major General Marquis de Lafayette, you know. And like George Washington like rolls his eyes, and he's like, another one of these goddamn fucking French soldiers of fortune who says he's a fucking general.
So this is when he said, he was like, I'm Lafayette with a brain full of nougat, or whatever the fuck we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Whatever Tyler said.
He's like, I'm Lafayette. I got a brain full of nougat that gives me more revolutionary ideas than you could possibly begin to imagine. And George Washington's like, nice to meet you. I look like a nutcracker. And they really hit it off.
I'm positively stuffed with revolutionary nougat. And it's like, well, I like cracking Brazil nuts with my teeth.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was about
George
Washington is he had fought the French as a British lieutenant during the 7 Years' War, French Indian War. He didn't necessarily like French people. He had bad experiences with all these French soldiers of fortune coming along. Usually unexperienced, a lot like Lafayette.
He probably met some French people and. I'm sorry, that's mean.
No, I love French people.
I love all people.
I've met some very lovely French people.
Me too.
In Canada?
But
boom, gotcha, France. Anyway.
But he was saying, like, I've had enough with all of this. You know, I need a trained army. I don't need this. You know, and he was having enough trouble on that front too. But Lafayette was incredibly charming. They had a great conversation, and most people say that him and Washington bonded nearly immediately.
After he made his sweet joke about Nantucket, the limerick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was all over. They were best friends.
Yeah.
Their favorite dinosaur was Velociraptor.
Nice.
So. Oh, that's Step Brothers. Yeah.
And the Continental Congress was like, hey, George, can you take him? Just take him. And George Washington's like, I don't fucking know what to do with him. What do I do with him? I'm just trying to fucking run a military here. What am I fucking doing? I can't. What do I do? So, going back to the letter, there's a letter that arrives. It's a letter of recommendation for the Marquis de Lafayette from Benjamin Franklin.
I thought it would be Benjamin Franklin.
Benny.
And what Ben Franklin said was...
There's like two other guys out there. He battered John Jay, and I think he said he was in Spain.
What Ben Franklin said was, look, man, this is clearly direct quote, but... Look, man.
Dude!
He goes, I know. All these French guys are coming. I get it. But check this out. He's a Marquis. Fucking noble title. He knows King Louis XVI personally. You know, he grew up around this guy. He has connections in the French court. If we want the French to declare war on Britain and maybe shorten the war for us and have a very powerful ally, this kid might help us.
Might be the one.
You know, I know he doesn't have any battle experience. I know he's 19. I know he's demanding to be a general. He's like, put him in the back and just, like, you take care of him. And all is going to be well. So he begrudgingly takes on Marquis de Lafayette as like an aide-de-camp.
Well, you forgot to mention at the end of the letter, he had in parentheticals,
yeah, Ben Franklin really got in the mix there.
So after the recommendation letter from Ben Franklin, and Lafayette did say this one thing, he kind of reassured Washington. He said, I am here to learn, not to teach. And it's sort of like Washington's like, okay, stay close to me. I'll take care of you. Kind of a deal.
Right.
So that's how it kind of started, right?
Yeah. You're not coming in saying, like, my balls are the biggest and let me swing them around. You're like, my balls are small. Perhaps you will make them big.
I'll get your balls.
Yeah, someday I'll get your wooden balls and I'll hang them from my door knocker or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. That's canon.
Yeah, that's canon.
So Lafayette, though, he did keep asking Washington, like, hey, when do I get command of a division? And Washington's like, I'm not going to just give you a fucking division. You're 19 years old. You've never seen a day of combat. You're not just going to get a fucking division until you prove yourself.
No.
If you prove yourself, you know.
Not looking to fuck up this revolution.
Lafayette was good for morale, though, because he was insanely optimistic. And, like, anytime, like, people were, like, bitching about food or whatever, like, Lafayette would somehow, he had this way with people, he would make them feel good and better about their situation and remind them, like, why they're fighting. They're fighting for liberty, you know, they're fighting for all these high-minded ideals, and they're like, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
he would lift people's spirits. And that's absolutely true of pretty much everybody that came into contact with Lafayette. Everybody, pretty much, loved the guy the second they met him.
He was the revolutionary equivalent of a hot babe dressed like a military nurse who comes out on the USO stage and it's like, hey, buzz.
Yeah.
Remember what you're fighting for back home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he dressed up like that.
Yeah. He was like, hey, boys,
Yeah, boy. I can't do a French.
look at what you're fighting for.
Yeah.
Not
How
even
about
like-
this? You
Well-
get cigarettes and baguette, huh?
Yeah.
It certainly helped that he was the reason why Nancy Sinatra wrote these boots are made for walking.
Yeah.
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 Because of the USO show that he did.
Yes.
These boots are made from mache.
Yeah.
These boots, they are for men for walking.
Yeah.
And that's what they will do.
Yeah. But yeah, many of these volunteers and whatnot, like, they were older than him. And for some reason, again, he had that magnetic personality. They listened to him. And it's kind of amazing, you know, that he could get that sort of respect out of people at the age of 19. It says a lot about his character.
I think he could get Zach to respect him.
I think at the end of the day, Zach's going to like him.
Yeah,
like
so,
it. We'll see.
so far I don't trust the guy, but
Because he's a teenager.
Because he's a teenager, exactly. But
He's 19. He's
No.
getting
Skating up on his French skateboard telling you about a revolution.
no,
Yeah.
that fucking guy, he was totally rocking soaps and just
Grinding a rail like
Gra-
Sonic
gra-
the
grinding
Hedgehog
a
in
rail.
2002.
rolling around at the speed of sound.
Skater Boy was actually written about him.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is true.
She said, "See you later, boy." Yeah.
And the part where he was rocking on MTV is he actually did that.
Yeah, he did. Among a lot of other things.
These are true.
Now, meanwhile, the British had planned on taking the capital of Philadelphia because this is like a running theme with the British. They were like, these Americans don't know when to quit. Like, we can
is
take
true.
their capital. We can beat them again and again and again and again, but they just keep fucking coming back. Like, they don't understand how war is supposed to work.
Yeah, once
when
you take the capital, it's over.
Yeah, when you lose, it's done. It's over.
And our capital just got taken a couple weeks ago. And we're still going
Still
strong.
here. We're still here.
They're like, haven't they played Risk at all?
Like, we got in the
Crusader
capital. I
Kings?
feel like I like to think that when they invaded the capital a couple weeks back, they literally thought that they were like, once we get in, we're the king now.
Yeah.
We're running.
I am the
I'm a
Senate.
senator now. Yeah, I am the Senate.
Yeah. As the British were coming for Philadelphia, Lafayette would have his baptism by fire
Cool.
in a place. It's a place called Chad's Ford, Pennsylvania.
It's Chad's Ford.
Yeah, Chad's Ford.
Yeah.
In a battle called the Battle of Brandywine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was the first battle that he was a part of, and he was kind of up by Washington. And Washington's plan was he sort of formed his troops because he thought that like they'd be coming from one direction, and he was ultimately wrong. His furthest flank away from him, he thought was like the outskirts, but it turns out that flank was hit by like the brunt end of the British force. So it didn't work, and it was a horrible miscalculation.
That's what we call a botched job.
Yeah, but he sent Lafayette down to this flank because he could see him over there just chomping at the bit. Like, come on, get me in there.
Right.
Put
he
me
goes-
in the game, coach.
Yeah, and he goes like,
What's
okay,
he
okay.
gonna do on the bench? You know?
Yeah, and he goes, okay, go down, don't get shot, but go down. And he's like, all right. So he gets down there, and when the British forces hit this flank, it panics this this contingent of men, and they start to be overwhelmed, and they start to panic, and they start to run in all directions. And that's not good, because that scatters your forces.
Yeah.
And it makes it much harder to regroup. And so what they need to do is they have to retreat orderly, right? And Lafayette knew this. He had a military education. And so he pulls out a sword and he jumps down and he's like, no, form lines, da-da-da-da-da, do this, do that. And they listen to him. Miraculously, they listen to him. And he gets them to form up and make an orderly retreat out, and kind of saves the whole flank. And as this is happening, he realizes, he looks down and realizes he's been hit in the leg by a musket ball.
Ugh.
Oh,
He's
shit.
wounded, and he needs to be helped onto his horse, and he won't leave until they've all evacuated or whatnot. Washington hears about this heroism and whatnot, and he comes down to him, and he was told, explicitly, hey, make sure this kid doesn't fucking die. He can help us. Protect him. Don't be putting him in the front. And that's exactly what he fucking did. So he feels really bad, and he runs down, and he's like, shit. Here's my personal surgeon that takes care of me. He's going to take care of you.
He gave me these big old lips.
They take him in a chair, very carefully. They take him in a chair to
Mazel tov.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Where he stays with the Moravians, who were a little think of kind of Quakers. They're non-combatants, but they do help in non-combative ways with the revolutionary effort.
Right.
Right. So while he was recovering with the Moravians in Bethlehem, Washington also sent a fluent French speaker to come down and help take care of him, who was
French Pete.
future President James Monroe,
Oh.
No way.
who was about the same age as Lafayette.
Ah.
And he was like, in perfect French, I'm going to tell you about my plan to send a bunch of freed slaves back to Africa and create Monrovia, the most successful city in the world.
Yeah. But he was lifelong friends with James Monroe. He was lifelong friends with pretty much everybody he ever met, nearly. Except for a lot of Frenchmen, honestly. His war effort didn't stop while he was recovering. He wrote a bunch of letters in general, but a bunch of letters to the French authorities trying to get support and more weapons and things like that and supplies to the Continental Army. It sort of turned him into the unofficial go-between between the Continental Army and the Americans and France. Like he was the guy that you look to, right? Even though he didn't actually have all the diplomatic power. You know
So he
what I
was
mean?
going back to France for more guns.
He's the guy that they got.
Asking.
Right.
Yeah. So after he gets out, he rejoins with Washington in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is lost to the British at this point. Washington, when he comes back, he's pretty impressed by Lafayette. And he does give him a small contingent of men to go fight in a place called Glauchester.
Yeah.
Different blood.
Different Gloucester, right?
Different cheese rolling
Yeah.
competition.
It's all right. It's, it's one of those things where it's like, you got a couple of Gloucesters. George Washington was only trying to win the war so he could have 17 Mount Vernons. He only got 2, but,
right.
doesn't mean he didn't make an effort. It's not for lack of trying.
Is there more? Is there only 2? There's
think-
one in Washington. I know that.
And then there's one in
Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia, yeah.
That's the one he's from.
Yeah.
There's probably others.
If he had it his way, it would all be Mount Vernon.
We'd all be Mount Vernon.
Lafayette pulled off this kind of miraculous victory against some Hessian forces where they outnumbered him. And a lot of these battles too, I'm not gonna really go into a lot of detail about the entirety of the American Revolution. I'm gonna skip through some of it because a lot of them are about the same, meaning that both sides claim victory in a
Right.
lot of cases. But it has to do with who's actually hurt more, right? So just take a lot of it with a grain of salt. But he did kind of prove himself. Lafayette and Washington, they went to Valley Forge together. Lafayette spent a lot of time suffering, like most people did, at Valley Forge during that cold winter. Ink is freezing in their pens, you know, and everyone's writing all these letters like, we got nothing to eat. It's fucking miserable. And his letters are like, I fucking love this. Like, the dude just loved that, like, military grit life. You know what I mean? Like, to him, that was, after this was all over, this spells glory for him. Right. You know what I mean? So he fucking... Oh, he ate it up.
The ink in my pen froze, but it made a delicious wintertime treat. Yeah. It looked like a blackberry popsicle. It didn't taste like one, but I'm kind of just taking what I can get right now.
So in February of 1778, an alliance was signed between America and France. The France hadn't exactly declared war against Britain just yet, but an alliance is pretty good. That means that they might get some actual military help here, not just guns and money covertly here and there. You know, they're actually going to get some French support.
And a handful of French dipshits who all want to be fucking generals.
There was this thing that happened in late February 1778, and it was called the Conway Cabal. Basically, Conway was like the head of the military on a bureaucratic sense, right? There was another general, Horatio Gates. And at this time during the war, Horatio Gates was the hero of the revolution because Washington kept getting beat here and there. His army was considered to be more of a mob than anything.
Okay.
And Washington was sort of embarrassed by this. And he was embarrassed to show.
He's like, I'm practically a militia.
Yeah, and it pissed him off to know.
I've become the thing I hate most.
Yeah,
right.
Also, I bet you it was like kind of a Bad News Bears situation where he's like, I got to whip these boys into shape.
Exactly, and that's about to come. So, with help from another guy that's going to get his own episode, I promise. No, Horatio Gates, along with another guy who you may recognize, a Mr. Benedict Arnold.
Okay.
Were heroes of the Battle of Saratoga, which had been like a big victory. And a lot of people point to the Battle of Saratoga to like the turning point in the war.
Benedict Arnold was a traitor.
Yes, he was. I'll get to that.
It's like that guy from 300, like that weird hunchback guy.
Welcome to the Weird Hunchback Guy from 300 podcast, episode 72.
Yeah. So what happened was with this cabal is that these people believed that Washington was not actually that great of a general, and Horatio Gates should actually be in charge of the Continental Army. So what they were doing is they were going to slowly, bit by bit, pick away at Washington's army, basically, at his authority, yeah.
Right.
And so the person that was closest to Washington at this time was Lafayette. So what they did is they asked Lafayette if he wanted a new commission where he would command his own troops and he would lead them into Canada to fight against the British there, maybe with some of his countrymen.
He pulled the Slugworth.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's a Slugworth.
Okay. The old Slugworth maneuver, if you will.
Yeah. There was some back and forth between him and Washington because Washington knew something was up. He was like, look, I know they're doing something. Yeah. I don't know what, but I know they're doing something. And Lafayette was tipped off by this from Washington. He was like, look, I'm not going to be with Horatio Gates. I can't do that. Because Horatio Gates talks shit all day about General Washington, who happens to be a very good friend of mine. So I'm not going to do that. And they were like, okay, it's just you, and da-da-da-da-da. And he gets there, like New York, and he's supposed to meet up with his army. They're ill-equipped. There's not enough men. And he felt real bad about it. But everyone was like, it's okay, dude. It was this whole conspiracy to try to get Horatio Gates at the head of the army rather than George Washington.
Imagine if Horatio Gates was on the $1 bill. It's all about the Gateses.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
I looked at the picture of him, and at least that's unflattering.
Yeah. Bet you his teeth were made out of dog shit. Fuck Horatio Gates.
Oh my god.
He's probably going to try to...
that.
Yeah, he's going to inject us with 5G fucking
Yeah.
somethings.
Now, in the meantime, Great Britain declared war on France. So now, the French are in the war. Which is a good thing, right?
For Americans.
For Americans.
Yeah.
Not really for France.
They're like, what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah. So here's what happens. Here's how the sort of the dominoes fall. Once the British realize that the French are like this world power is now involved, they're like, shit, let's pull out of Philadelphia, because what we have to do is we have to rearrange all of our armies, and we have to rethink what we're going to do. We have to rethink our entire strategy, because what's going to happen is they're going to hit some of our lucrative colonies in the West Indies, which is, Puerto Rico, Cuba, all that area down in the Caribbean.
Sweet, sweet sugar.
Yeah, and
rum.
And so
St. Thomas, St. Croix.
So they're pulling out all of their troops to reinforce these positions.
Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama.
Yeah.
One might say Kokomo?
Yeah, another Kokomo
We're doing a Kokomo thing. Yes.
And what they effectively did is they spread their forces too thin, ultimately. On their way out of pulling out of Philadelphia, what the British didn't know is that during the winter at Valley Forge, there was a man that showed up. And his name, again, he will have his own episode because he is fascinating. Baron von Steuben.
Ooh!
He showed up, and he was a Prussian military officer.
That's the most Prussian-sounding name I've ever heard.
Dude, it's a Stube.
And he relentlessly, he spoke not a word of English, but he relentlessly drilled Washington's Continental Army into a disciplined army rather than a mob, right? And they wanted to test it out, you know what I mean, as they're evacuating Philadelphia. So what they did is they're like, okay, they're moving. And he goes, Washington goes, okay, Lafayette, here's a bunch of men. I want you to go, and I want you to look at what they're doing. This is a reconnaissance mission. Remember, go look what they're doing. Here's my advice. Don't spend too much time in one place, okay? And stay far away. And, I just want you to see what they're doing. Maybe harass them a little bit on the way out. But don't give them time to form up and realize where the hell you are, because they will fucking crush you. There's a fuck ton of them down there. And, Lafayette's like, all right, I got this. So he takes his men down there, and the one mistake he makes is that he sets his men up for 2 days, which is too long, 11 miles away from the British camp. And the British realize he's there, and they start surrounding him.
We could see you right there.
Yeah. And they start surrounding him, and he's like, fuck!
No.
And,
they can see us hiding in the bush.
yeah, miraculously, through some deft maneuvering, Lafayette maneuvers his troops out and gets them out. Somehow, miraculously, getting minimal casualties. It's like, holy shit, I can't fucking believe he did that. Like, some of our best generals can't do shit like that. And that was, a main thing for him. Even though he caught a bunch of flack in, the media, that was highly propagandized. They were like, oh, he retreated.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, retreat is a good thing. And actually, Washington at this point in the war wasn't really known for his winning of battles, but of actually leading retreats very well. And I'm not being, fucking snide about that. This is actually true. Leading an orderly retreat with minimal casualties is a fucking talent.
Sure.
Okay? That is something that good generals know how to do.
I feel like that's being really good at shitting your pants in the middle of a dinner party and finding an excuse to get out the door and into your car and have nobody notice that you shit your pants or left suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a talent.
I have that talent.
Oh, I forgot to
Only if
mention.
it's about shitting pants.
It's really interesting that you brought
a
up
tactical
shitting your pants, because I couldn't help but think of, Dynasty Warriors. But, Dynasty Warriors shitting your pants. Tomato.
I mean, I don't know. A pair of dungarees full of hot feces kind of reminds me a lot of Dynasty Warriors.
No, I actually forgot to mention this. When Lafayette was in New York on that assignment, he actually made friends with a Iroquois tribe contingent called the Oneidas. And he actually sent a big group of Oneida Indians up to Valley Forge to help Washington and the Continental Army, which is really interesting.
And they all learned that they weren't
They
so
loved
different
it.
after all. And that would change.
Oh, that would
eventually.
change real fast.
Yeah.
The French fleet, because once, of course, war was declared and they were allies, the French fleet was launched. And we're talking, this is a world power fleet. The French fleet was run by a guy named Admiral d'Estaing. And he had 12 ships and 4 frigates. And this is a huge
Admiral
fleet.
D'Estaing.
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 I mean, I hear disdain. Is that...
I hear
D'Estaing.
like this thing, like he's
Yeah.
maybe he's like, you wanna see the Admiral or do you wanna see Admiral's D'Estaing?
I'm just thinking,
And he swings around his dick like it's like
his
a
favorite
pimp cane.
band is Stained.
You see, I thought you were going to go with, I have a magic card up my sleeve, and that's D'Estaing.
Oh,
Nice.
Thank you. I'm here all night.
well, I know.
I live here, that's why.
Here's just a couple of moving pieces you need to know about. They're still evacuating Philadelphia, and Washington orders Benedict Arnold to take Philadelphia as the military governor. And what he's going to do is he has a new general that's been a general for a while, although he's a dogshit general. And his name is General Charles Lee.
I knew it.
You know about him? General Lee?
He's the first. John Lawrence. They fight. They have the duel in Hamilton.
Yeah.
The first duel that they set up the rules for a duel. It's John Lawrence versus Charles Lee.
Yeah. Charles Lee is a fuckhead.
Yeah, he doesn't like George Washington.
He does not like George Washington, and he does not take orders well at all. In fact, he thinks he also should be the controller of the Continental
That's why
Army.
John Lawrence dueled him.
Yeah.
At least in the play.
So
The documentary you watched.
Yeah.
so Washington and Lee and Lafayette, they're all discussing what to do next, right? And Washington, he wants to strike with his newly trained army, and he wants to really test them out. So he tells Lee, like, I want you to harass them as much as you can on the way up.
I love the harassing on you're gonna lose, but on the way out you go, yeah, you fuck yourself. Yeah.
Well, so as they're leaving, you pick off their back troops.
Yeah,
that
the ones
kind
in
of
the back.
harassment.
Yeah, and you hide behind trees, right? Like, that's what the American Revolution's known for.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
guerrilla
Yeah.
warfare.
You know who actually did that, though?
The Patriot. Mel
Marquis de Lafayette
Yeah.
and his
okay.
troops. They did the hiding behind trees, there and gone, everywhere and nowhere type of thing, right? Lee disagreed with Washington, and he was like, I think we need to hold back. There's no way we can fucking win this. I don't want this. And he's like, okay, well, I'll give it to Lafayette. And Lee's like, whoa. Okay. I'll do it. And he's like, all right. But the whole time he's bitching. The whole time up there, the whole time they're there, he's bitching. No, Washington thinks we should do this. Do. And when he finally meets up with the... there's a term for it, and it's
He doesn't
escaping me.
understand my power.
Yeah. When he finally meets up with, like, British forces, and they turn and, like, start fighting him, he gives them, like, conflicting orders. And, like, Washington is on the way with the full force of the Continental Army. Again, they're just supposed to be picking off people as they go. And all of a sudden, he runs into his own troops
No.
running away.
Jesus Christ.
And he's like, what the fuck is this?
Like, we're doing what you told us to, man.
Yeah, well, and here comes Lafayette. And he's like, hey, you may want to get up there. Lee is not... I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
He's
but
fucking
he's
up.
fucking it up. And Washington is livid. So he, like, rides up there, and he sees Lee, like coming back with the rest of the men. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I didn't tell you to retreat. And he's like, well, I don't know. And he goes, go to the back, all fucking do it. And it's actually the only time that Washington ever cursed.
Back of the line.
Yeah, it's the only time that Washington ever cursed, really. He didn't curse a lot.
He said something about
like
how
a
there
stoic
was
guy.
the only thing he's seeing on this battlefield is a bed, and it's full of Lee's shit, and Lee shit the bed and needs to get back in the line and sit down and let the adults do their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much.
It also didn't help that Washington took out his false teeth and beat Lee with them while he was retreating.
Yeah.
And
They
then
were
put it back in
huge.
his mouth while they were covered in Lee's blood.
Yeah.
He wrote in a letter to his dear wife, "It was a sad, sad irony that day that Lee was not the man with the wooden teeth, so he could removeth them and suck upon my
Removeth?
penis."
What is he writing the Bible?
I'm doing my best here.
This is called the Battle of Monmouth Court. Is what it was.
I remember that song.
Longmont
Courthouse.
Potion Castle.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
I'm just going to spread out.
Yeah. I just need a place to spread out 2-3 days. Now, with the French fleet landing off the coast of America, Lafayette was dispatched to go over and talk to D'Estaing to sort of be their go-between, right? They'd sort of worked this thing out, like Washington wanted to take this stronghold in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to use the French fleet as something like, okay, they can't pick up British soldiers and they can't take them anywhere and they can't, whatever, as long as the French fleet's there. Yeah. Well, there was some sort of like they got their lines crossed or something because they couldn't agree on who should attack first. The French were like, we are the world power. We are clearly superior to you. We attack first. This is our war. We're fighting the British. Yeah. And like everyone else was like, no, it's not. The Americans attack first, and then you.
I feel like it would have been the other way around, where they were like, no, you attack first.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, what happened is the Americans did without telling the French,
Fuck them.
and that pissed off Admiral D'Estaing. So what he did is he pulled his fleet out of the harbor, and he just started fighting them out on the ocean. And they were like, we have no naval support. We're getting fucking killed out here. And like Lafayette was the one that had to like, dude, come back, please. Okay, look, we meant...
He got his feelings hurt and he bailed.
Yeah,
He's
we
like,
meant no
people
harm.
are always a little disappointed
He's
when
like
I pull
Achilles.
this dang out
Jesus Christ.
too early.
And people think that us from Seattle are passive aggressive, but Jesus Christ,
I know, right?
no one's died over our passive aggressiveness, right?
That we
No,
know of.
Not that I know of.
certain that they have.
Probably.
This is called the Battle of Rhode Island, and both sides claimed victory. But it was sort of an American victory. It was around this time, and I may have told these out of order, but it was around this time that Washington's like, look, me and my army, we need to regroup and kind of figure out what we're going to do next. Lafayette, if you were planning a trip to France, you better go now. And Lafayette wanted to keep fighting, but he's like, all right, and he went back to France. Now, when he got back to France, remember, the king and the ministers and his father-in-law did not want him to go, and there's an arrest warrant out for him.
Cool.
So,
But he's rich. He'll be fine.
Well, the thing is all the news had made it back to France of his exploits, and everyone was like, "Here he comes!"
So his
You know?
family's like, we want to fuck you
America's
over so bad,
favorite fighting.
and
So
we
what they
can't
did-
because it'll make you a fucking martyr.
Yeah. So what they did is they put him on house arrest, but it was a loose ass house arrest. Like he went and visited John Adams.
Nice.
You know, like he visited people, he was talking with people, but his main mission back in France, it was to get more support.
Yeah. Go to France, get more guns.
Yeah, from the king, and the thing was something that's definitely going to carry over into the next episode is that France isn't doing well financially, not at all. They cannot afford this war.
They had a sure thing on this fucking stock, and they put all their money into it, and now they're sweating bullets because
It's looking like another Enron.
yeah.
Well, they invested too much money into the snail
Yeah.
market, and
Yeah,
No one
you
wants
know.
to salt the snail.
Yeah, they're like, we love
A lot of levels there.
we love this food, and we think the world's gonna love this food, and no one's gonna think it's gross.
Yeah.
So
honestly, I'm a big fan of land clams. I don't know about you.
I mean, I will eat.
L'escargot?
I will eat
Yeah.
anything.
I will try them, but I do not understand how people are like, escargot's fine, but haggis, that's where I draw the line. I'm like, it's fucking sausage.
Yeah.
I brought a sausage.
Escargot is my cargo.
Yeah.
I carry it
the
around
thing is
everywhere. I have
you-
a cargo plane.
You can
Samesies.
buy
Yeah.
escargot in America. You can't get haggis in
Yeah,
America.
because there's rules against it.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about Adrienne, as Lafayette was gone, was that the child that she was pregnant with
Oh, no.
actually passed away.
Oh.
But
Was it natural causes?
as natural as a
Christ.
baby dying can be
So
during this time.
motorcycle stunt. Got it.
Yeah, Evil Knievel style. Trying to jump the Grand Canyon. Yeah, exactly.
He just had to do that third loop-de-loop, didn't he?
Yeah.
You made the first two, so we got.
This baby's incredible.
He visits his wife, and it's no surprise that Adrienne becomes pregnant months after he visits France. So it's pretty damn clear that within the few weeks that he's visiting her, that they just totally banged.
They hella bad.
Well,
Yeah.
he came home, she was very mad, but he's so persuasive and so charming and optimistic that after leaving, she became pregnant
he's like,
once
the
again.
next one will probably not die.
Yeah.
Right. Also, remember, he's under house arrest. There's only so much you can do without a current generation gaming console.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
here's the thing. Here's
Yep.
the thing: is he was technically under house arrest, but again, he's not supposed to leave. But he visited John Adams. No one gave a fuck.
And it's not like
What
he has
he
an
did.
ankle bracelet.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
he also visited the back of his wife's cervix, and so he was going all over the place.
I mean, they were married. They were married. So
They were married
it's
since
okay.
they were like children.
Yeah,
But
That's true.
he was like, "It's okay. This next one, we're gonna have a helmet."
Jesus.
because they're doing loop-de-loops.
Yeah. But he does get more French support, like more French commitment into the war, because especially like Lafayette coming back to France, like he's sort of like living proof that the war is going well. You know,
Yeah,
so
sure.
everyone's like, you know what? This is actually working out, you know, and here he is, and he's constantly saying like George Washington's fucking awesome, you guys fucking rule, and like Ben Franklin's like, I fucking love this kid. You know? Like,
He's like, I saw a picture of George Washington, like, in profile, and I thought to myself, it'd look good on money.
Ben Franklin's in France this whole time.
yeah.
Thomas Jefferson too, right?
Afterwards, after the war.
Benjamin Franklin's like, I'm a
during this-
#1 American revolutionary. I heard what they're doing over there is great. Nice.
I'm gonna go hang out in France while they all fight.
Yeah.
During this time, Thomas Jefferson is governor of Virginia.
Okay.
And he hasn't actually met Lafayette yet.
Yeah. And every time Lafayette will meet him subsequently, he'll be like, Jefferson's a cool guy, not great at eye contact, good at math. Anyway, he's building a castle for himself.
Yeah. So when Lafayette comes back to America, a lot of shit has changed. Desertion in the Continental Army has sort of reached its peak. They're running out of supplies, they're running out of money, they're running out of everything. And it's hard to keep the army together. And like Washington, this is a little known fact, but Washington would straight up hang deserters.
Cool.
And I mean, people think of Washington as some sort of like Marcus Aurelius, stoic leader, first leader of America, but he was just as, militarily speaking, brutal as Marcus Aurelius or any of these Roman generals. And
Okay.
as we talked last episode, George Washington was super into that Roman history, so of course he
Yeah.
knew all about that. But Lafayette was showing back up, and trailing behind him, he was bringing the bulk of the French land force, like the French military. It was headed by Comte de Rochambeau.
Ah, yes.
And
The guy who
that
made
game.
him kicking people in the balls.
Yeah, you know the game.
Yeah, Rochambeau.
That's what it's from.
Lafayette actually wanted Rochambeau's position. He wanted to lead, because he wanted nothing more than to fight for liberty, but in a French uniform. He really wanted to represent France and not fight for a different country.
We will be kicking them in the balls.
Yeah. But yeah, he brought Rochambeau with him. and met back up with Washington. He was like a sight for sore eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, meanwhile, the British had invaded, Savannah, Georgia. They've invaded, Virginia, all these parts. People have to evacuate, things like this.
Yeah.
They have to switch a lot of things around because George Washington thinks that the decisive battle of the war is going to be in New York City. Mm-hmm. He's wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
He's wrong because they're moving all of their troops, like I said earlier, to the West Indies, to down in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't realize that General Howe and General Clinton on the British side have given more command to Cornwallis. Mm-hmm. And Cornwallis and Howe and Clinton didn't agree on anything, and they kind of all hated each other. And they were all sort of insubordinate towards each other.
Probably didn't help their cause.
Yeah, and they didn't listen to each other. What Cornwallis was supposed to do was he was supposed to sort of raid all the way through Virginia and then pull out of Virginia, because even Howe and Clinton thought that it would also be in New York where the decisive battle was.
Gentlemen, begin Operation Spank the Bottoms.
Yeah.
We will spank the bottoms from north to south to west and east to New York City.
Yeah.
And remember, it is New York, not Old York, the actual York. Gentlemen.
And a lot of people, like, Horatio Gates, and a lot of people are like, dude, Cornwallis has the bulk of the army down in Virginia. We need to get down there. We need to get down there fast.
We need to get down there and murder those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, we gotta kill all those guys.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that happens in between. I'm just going to kind of hurry through it because, again, I just don't have enough time to tell you blow by blow every single fucking battle that Lafayette was in on. You know
Totally,
what I mean?
yeah.
But every time he proved himself time and time again as a competent general. And when he did come back from France, Washington straight up gave him the division that he wanted.
Yeah.
He gave him a whole division of men to command all on his own. A lot of faith he put into this 21-year-old kid. And so when they finally do amass their troops, around this area where they're sort of fencing Cornwallis in, Benedict Arnold has switched sides by this point because he had been. It's like the whiniest fucking shit ever. Benedict Arnold had been skipped over for all these promotions. And boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. And certain things had happened where, he got the shit end of the stick, and instead of taking it like a man, he switched sides.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
Everybody forgot my birthday.
Yeah.
your political career is more important to you than the actual revolution. Is the point.
Exactly.
I had to buy my own cake and make my own presidents out of dirt.
Yeah. And he was...
So I'm going to be British again.
He was feeding information to Cornwallis and all this stuff for certain deals to command his own division in the British Army.
Right.
And Washington was actually on his way to meet up with Benedict Arnold to discuss the battle plans of some upcoming battle. We don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but he was going to discuss it with him. And in that moment, he realized that it was all crumbling around him. Yeah. And within moments, everyone would know that he's a traitor. And Washington is literally on his way right now to meet with him. Washington does not know about it yet. But in moments, Washington will know about it. So he straight up, I'm exaggerating, but he jumps out a window and runs away.
I
and
want
Washington,
Bill Hader to be Benedict Arnold so bad.
And Washington straight up,
yeah.
No, Will Forte.
Will
Forte.
Fuck. Oh, shit.
Oh, no, they're going to be here any minute.
But Washington's straight up knocking on the door. I'm exaggerating, but he's knocking on the door and he's running away. And he's he's not here. And moments later, Washington realizes that he's a fucking traitor. And he tells Lafayette, if you catch that motherfucker, you hang him on the fucking spot.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Benedict Arnold's like, guys, I can explain. So here's what was going on. So 2 weeks ago, I watched Independence Day, Born on the 4th of July, and some other movies. I got way into America, and I was in it. I was having a great time. Then I got BritBox, and I started watching Sherlock. I started watching Downton Abbey, and I got way into the British thing. So I decided to kind of like slide more into that. And now here we are, and I feel like we should just be cool.
Yeah.
So
He was the world's first Anglophile. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
He was really into the Crown.
Oh, way into the Crown, way into Doctor Who.
But he also deserves his own episode, because if Benedict Arnold died like right after Saratoga,
Yeah.
he would have been one of the greatest heroes in American history.
But he kept on going, got that TARDIS tattoo, and now he's a dickwad.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got that bumper sticker on his car, or on his buggy, I should say.
This car's bigger on the inside.
Yeah, fuck you, nerd.
Yeah, nerd alert.
There's a mind the gap thing.
Yeah, oh my god. Keep
Anyway.
calm and fucking drink some fucking black tea, English breakfast. Yeah,
Piece of shit.
You're not British, okay? You're not British, no matter how much you want to fucking talk about bangers and mash. You were born in fucking like Ohio. Okay, now I'm just talking about a different
You're
thing.
talking about shit. You're talking shit.
I'm talking shit. I'm talking shit.
He was born in the colonies, but
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So he goes over to the British and he takes command of his own division, and Washington tells Lafayette like go, because what they're doing is they're hemming Cornwallis in.
Yeah.
And Benedict Arnold's forces are like Benedict Arnold basically takes over the West Point.
No shit.
And yeah, he has forces there. Again, I want to explain all of this in a Benedict Arnold episode because it's fascinating. But Lafayette's charged with going after him and basically keeping the tail end of Cornwallis's forces busy and making sure that Benedict Arnold doesn't get too far involved in the fight with Cornwallis, and keep all that busy while the bulk of the forces regroup and actually face Cornwallis, with Rochambeau, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the Battle of Yorktown is what happened. Like, Cornwallis was there with his back to the ocean and no British ships. Mm-hmm. And he thought there was going to be British ships. But there wasn't any British ships.
Damn.
It's like fucking Ceausescu.
Yeah, Ceausescu. Looking out the window for,
Like,
for Soviet
any minute
helicopters. Yeah.
Cornwallis was like, me in this army. And they're like, you in that army. And he's like, yeah.
Now, Cornwallis would have been right if it was just the Continental Army.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was the full fucking land force of the French army led by Rochambeau.
Rochambeau.
They heard the French war cry, which was oh,
Which is actually just a French smoker scoff.
It just smells like cheese from miles off. No, I'm kidding.
We like you guys.
we love the French.
I love the French. They protest the most ideal way. Anyway,
I mean, I would say they're in the top 3. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything from Hong Kong protesters because they're excellent at
they're-
their job.
They
Thank
are.
you.
But any time that the French government does a single thing out of line,
Yeah.
the French are out there fucking burning cars.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Thank you for inventing the guillotine, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
we're definitely going to get to that in episode 2 of Lafayette. What happened is they sort of surrounded him. And what's crazy is in Lafayette's forces, again, he's a kid, there is a guy by the name, he was an artillery captain, by the name, you may have heard of him, of Alexander Hamilton.
Oh.
Who? Alexander Hamilton. He was an artillery captain. He was George Washington's aide-de-camp for a time. He was always sort of in the mix.
Okay.
But they captured Redoubt Number 9, which was the last area.
Number 9.
It was the last area that was captured in the last battle of the American Revolution at Yorktown. It was sort of the final blow. The hilarious thing is Cornwallis was so proud and could not admit that he'd been defeated by this rabble
Yeah.
of revolutionary forces that he got on his ship and sent an aide down to give Washington his sword to say he surrendered.
Yeah.
And Washington, knowing what was happening, goes, no, I'm not accepting this. You tell this motherfucker to come down here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work that way. They ended up like trading things. It was this stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like it's just really petty. And they finally took off and whatnot. And,
What a fucking coward.
That was that. Yeah,
Seriously.
It was cowardice.
He's like, this is what we do in these times. And they're like, are you sure you're not just like a huge coward? And he's like, no, I send the sword and then they send back the bauble. And then by Christmas, we've come to an accord. And it's a maritime tradition.
December 24th, Christmas Eve. 1779, Adrienne Lafayette gives birth to a son.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
A sweet-ass boy.
What do you suppose this kid's name is?
I actually know it, so...
Not you. Extra points if you pronounce it correctly.
I'm going to say his name, his first name, first of
Go for it.
7.
There's
is-
2 names.
First of 2.
Well, 3 names. Because
3.
Lafayette.
Okay, so first of 2, because Lafayette afterwards. It's Chèvre Macron Lafayette.
No.
So a cheesy macaroon.
No.
No.
But that's good.
Fuck me.
George Washington.
Boom.
Lafayette.
George
George.
Washington Lafayette. Names his son
Did
that.
you know that?
You cheated.
I literally pulled that out of my ass, and it was correct.
You look at the notes.
So to
have no
anybody
notes.
who
They didn't
thinks
show us. There were no.
I can't go to trivia night because of COVID, yes, you can, and you could win. But
That's pretty impressive.
You
I'm gonna give
might
it-
die afterwards.
Tyler got it right.
Yeah.
The siege of Yorktown was successful and the last battle of the war. And I do want you to know I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here. Okay, I really am. There's so much that it's incredible to know.
It's almost like there's like books and books about the American
There's so many
Revolution.
books. I did 2 books just on Lafayette for this,
Yeah.
and I know there's more, but I did 2 just for this, and then numerous lectures. But
Thank
anyway,
you, Jerry.
they defeated like mutiny. They defeated, mass desertion from the military, and actually smallpox was an epidemic at the time. It was infecting Europe and the Americas. So they were all major players in all of this on top of it.
I hate to see large pox if that's the way smallpox is going.
Nice.
Am I right? This guy knows what I'm talking about.
God damn Jesus.
Nice.
After the siege of Yorktown, Lafayette gets permission from Congress to return to France. He boards the same ship that brought him back from France, because he did go, back and forth, as I said, the Alliance, and he, took all these congratulatory things and went back to France.
Stole the podium.
An armful of he had an armload of trophies in a headlock, and he waved to everybody with a sash,
Yeah.
and he got on his boat and went home.
Yeah.
Right.
When he was received in France at the time, he was received with much adulation. Like, everybody loved the fact that this kid made up his mind, and despite 2 kings, like in the most powerful countries of the world, he went and fought for liberty and revolution. And it was impressive to these people, and they called him a name that he would carry for the rest of his life, and that was the hero of the 2 worlds.
Ah.
That's pretty cool.
I can dig it.
He was received with adulation when he got back to France, but enough about his wife.
Nice.
Well, that is where we will leave you for part 2 of Marquis de Lafayette.
All right.
Yeah.
We're
Hell
doing
yeah.
a 2-parter
It's a
again,
2-parter.
folks.
There's no way I can do Lafayette in one part. I'm sorry, I can't.
Well,
do
you
it.
know,
His life is just too big.
I told you before the show I only knew who he was because there's places named after him until I watched Hamilton.
Yeah.
And you know I love Hamilton.
Well,
And I think that the version, other than the fact that he's not black and he doesn't rap,
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's pretty fair. I think
Yeah.
a lot of it's pretty accurate.
he's sort of Washington's puppy dog for a little while.
You kind of like Hamilton. You got to. It's a hip hop
Yeah,
a
it's
musical.
clearly not.
So they
yeah.
also have this thing where it's like that bragging shit that's so popular in hip hop. There's a lot of that where it's like somebody's talking about how great they are. You know,
well,
so you
Lafayette
gotta,
kind of would have done that.
yeah. So it's fitting.
Braggadocio.
There's particularly like the song "Guns and Ships." I'm like, that whole thing is in this. Like,
Well, but I will say that Lafayette, he's best known for the American Revolution, especially here.
Yeah.
France doesn't care about him a lot, not as much as we do. And they even point out, like, hey, you know, Rochambeau is actually the guy that led the French forces, not Lafayette, like all this stuff. But the thing is the American Revolution is a warm-up for the rest of his life. Like, the rest of his life, if you thought that shit was intense, the rest of his life is fucking nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear more about Sea Org and how he built Scientology.
Different Lafayette.
into-
Different Lafayette. Different
Oh
Lafayette.
shit! Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't. Really?
Yeah.
That's not his middle name, is it?
I thought there was only one Laffy.
No. Lafayette is the first name, or it's his middle name.
I have no idea.
L.
what you're
Ron
talking
Hubbard.
Yeah, the L in L. Ron Hubbard
Is Lafayette?
Is Lafayette.
No shit.
Yeah,
about. I didn't
dude.
know that.
Somehow I completely missed that.
Yeah, dude. Barefaced Messiah, right there. We see there, bottom shelf.
I see that. It doesn't say that L. Ron Hubbard's name is Lafayette Ron Hubbard, though.
It is Lafayette Ron Hubbard.
Yeah,
That's fucking incredible.
I did not know that.
yeah, and that's why they call it, his nickname used to be Laffy.
Well, especially if you live on the East Coast, there's a big reason why your town or street or school or whatever it may be
Square
is named after Lafayette.
Because of this guy.
Well, it's named after him, yeah, but
Not L. Ron Hubbard. But.
no, but of course it's named after Marquis de Lafayette. But there's an event that happens that causes all of
those
this
names,
to
yeah.
fucking happen.
And we're
Yeah.
going to learn about that next
We're
episode.
going to learn about it
All right.
next episode.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. The square right north of the White House is called Lafayette Square.
Yeah, and it's because of what we're going to talk about next episode.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. And by the way, gentlemen, this subject, Marquis de Lafayette, has been requested several times. However, the most fervent person to request this episode is Kara.
Ah, hey, Kara.
Yeah.
Now, Kara's awesome. Kara... How do I describe Kara in one sentence? I can't.
Kara, you are beautiful.
She
you
is a
are
rock star.
amazing.
She's a fucking rock star. That's all I can say. But basically, she got all of these history, like indie history podcasts together into like a community, and it's fucking beautiful. Like we interact with each other. We're on sometimes we might be on each other's shows or whatnot. And of course, dear listener, you'll be the first one to know if one of us is on a different show other than this one.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. But if they could stand me for 20 minutes.
If you guys are on Twitter, follow at Time Travel Talks.
Yeah.
That's Kara's whole thing, and she will fucking hook you up. With
Dude,
that, with that IV drip of
so-
good, sweet history
Yeah,
shit.
Kara really gets all these people together, they're just podcasters, like us, together, along with like academics and like people, like real historians together. And we shoot the shit on Twitter and whatnot, and kind of come in and join the club. It's a very welcoming people if you're really into history, not just us, but if you're really into history, it's a good place to find all of it. History Pods is also a good place to listen to us and other indie history shows. The point is that there is a community being built, and Kara is at the precipice of that. And she was one of the many people that wanted this episode to happen. And she requested it so many times that I finally had to be like, okay, Kara, I'm doing the Marquis de Lafayette. Are you happy now?
And of course, once again, thank you so much, Kara. You fucking rule.
You're a rock star.
We love you.
Thank you.
So are we the History Boys?
I think we are.
We are. I'm Christopher Wheaton, History Boy, signing off as usual.
I'm Tyler Armentrout. I'm a history boy, but I am signing on to, but not onto this, onto a service of my choice where I'm going to spend the rest of my night viewing content and shooting that into my eyeballs, having a great time. It's not Pornhub.
Lonely fans.
It's it is for fans that do
are in fact lonely.
They are in fact lonely. They're dealing with a lot of things in their personal lives, but they need to see some stuff getting done. So that's where they go.
I am Zach, the Mixolydian Scale Mech, and I am a history boy. And thanks so much for tuning in.
Indeed. And I am Jerry Nash. I'm a history boy. I just want to thank all of you listeners that have really stuck with us and continue to listen. Our loyal listeners, my goodness, I just can't believe it every time any one of you reaches out to us. It's just so amazing and gratifying to hear every single time it happens. And if you want to do that, please reach out to us. We always love hearing from you. Our email address is historyboizpodcast@gmail.com. And I do want to remind you, if you want to interact with us on Twitter, we're on Twitter. We're at HistoryBoiz, I believe. HistoryBoiz Podcast, maybe. You can find one of those. It's one of those two. We're also Instagram and Facebook, if you'd like to be there as well. Yeah, that is really all I have. No, I have one. I have one, and this is an important one for me, folks. It's very important for me. Because we have a new Patreon subscriber.
Yeah, we do.
Who?
Oh, shit.
It's my mom.
Jerry's mom is a Patreon subscriber. Jerry's mom is a Patreon subscriber. Thank you for subscribing to our Patreon and supporting us in all that we do. We thank you very much, and thank you.
Jerry's mom, she's got it going on.
I was trying to ride the line, and then you moved the piece down farther.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Well, yeah, I know that's kind of
The song came out when I was in high school, and it's the worst fucking.
Oh,
thing
it came
ever.
out when I was in middle school.
Came
terrible.
out in high school, and all my friends' moms had it going. Oh,
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, Mom. Thank you for listening and supporting us. It's great that my mom and my parents really love this show. It's really fucking fantastic. Yeah. So thank you so much for helping us going on. And if you want to be if you want to be like my mom, which you should all strive to be you would go to Patreon, our Patreon page, and you would donate to us to maybe help us keep going.
Throw us a bucket. It keeps the lights on.
There's tiers, though. And what are those tiers, Zach?
So at $1, you get access to our Discord, and once a month we do a Beers with the Boys. Obviously, boys is VOIZ. Boys is gender neutral. And
now, can I just say this real quick?
Go for it.
Every time we do those Beers with the Boys thing, honestly, everyone shows up. And we all get on. Me, Zach, Chris, and Tyler, we all get on, and we, answer questions, we talk about crazy shit. It's funny, it's a fucking great time, it really is.
Yeah. It's a big party online.
It costs $1
exactly.
in order to be a part of that. Yeah. So, it's pretty cool, honestly.
Exactly. Usually how we schedule it out is the third Thursday of the month is when we all get together and party and hang out. Mm-hmm. But you also get access to, dumbass memes that we create and, yada, yada, yada. At $5 a month, you also get access to the Discord, and you get a shout out, which Jerry's mom just got, which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
So we all know where she's at.
Exactly. And then at 10 bones or more, you get access to everything plus bonus content. So in the past, bonus content has been stuff like me writing music, Zach Mech.
Zach wrote a fucking album.
I wrote an EP, but
as I like to call him, Zach Mech.
Yeah, thank you. That's going to be my new tag.
That's good.
But
we also did a quiz show.
We did a quiz show.
That's up there.
We've done what we like to call our pre-games, which is just our pre-ramble banter before the show gets started. Basically, just to give you guys a more
give you a window into our world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And I just want to announce right now there's a new $100 tier where it's mostly just low quality videos of me wearing high heels stepping on cigarette butts. And if you're part of a very small community of people, you'll
love it.
You're gonna love it. It's lit with a scuba diver's flashlight, so it's got a big hot spot, dark everywhere else, and the video camera is from 2002, so it's very low quality. It's very bright, very hot, and then dark, high contrast video, very pixelated, and it's just heels. Could be my feet, could be anyone. I'm just letting you guys know it's my feet.
I believe it's high 8 tapes.
It could be a woman's foot.
16 bits.
Stepping on
color.
Virginia Slims, Camel Wides,
Capris.
Marlboro Reds, Capris, you name them, we got them. We're smoking them down to the filter, putting them on the ground, and I'm just grinding them into this like the cement.
It's turning a very small subsect of the public on.
It's hot asphalt. Those stiletto heels are pushing in to the blacktop.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm fucking hard just hearing about our new tier.
I don't know how you couldn't be.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys about this new tier before this episode. I just,
It's part of Tyler's lonely fans.
Yeah.
Look, I am very happy that we've had
He's
this
very lonely.
surprised production meeting mid-show. So I'm very stoked about this.
Anyway, again, thank you so much. And join us for part 2 of the Marquis de Lafayette, part 2.
Love you, bye!
We've had a lot of fun. We'll see you next time. Or I guess we won't. Whatever.